Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. So in the previous video, we'll learn about how we can select an element or various elements from the DOM and how the second way returned us an array-like object, HTML collection or node list. So in this video, let us see how we can access elements and manipulate them on the fly if required. So moving back to my Visual Studio Code, let me create the HTML boilerplate first. So I'll say exclamation and tab, so I'm using Emmet here, and I will give a title here, accessing and manipulating the DOM elements. Okay, so I will define an h1 with a ID using hash. I will say new year, plus I will define a p tag adjacent to this, and I will give it an ID of new year wish. Okay, so new year 2020 has started. Then adjacent to this we have a p tag in which I will be giving some text here as well. So I will say I wish all my friends and subscribers a happy new year. Okay, then adjacent to this I will have a UL tag in which I will define 4 li tags, and then I will give a class. So I will say task1. For second li I will give a class of task2. For the third li I will give a class of task4 3, and class task4. Okay, so let me write the text content for this: task1, task2, task3, and task4. Now let us run the file using the live server. So I'll say open with live server, and let us wait a bit. Okay, so it is starting. Okay, so we have the HTML rendered on the browser. So as you can see, the HTML is now rendered on the browser. Now let us see how we can access and manipulate the DOM elements. So let me open the console first, the browser console. I will say inspect. Okay, move to the console, and now what I will do here is I will select the p tag with the ID of new year wish, and I will write document.getElementById. So I'll use the ID new year wish, and this will return us a DOM object. So I will store that in a constant new year wish, and let us see the text content. So I will try to access the property called text content on the new year wish. So this will spit out the text content of your p tag, because the new year wish is a p tag with an ID of new year wish. So we have the text content within it as I wish all my friends and subscribers a happy new year. So we're storing it in a constant, and I'm using camel casing for naming my variable. So this way you can read the text content, and we do this with the text content property which it exposes to us. So we can also access the ID by accessing new year wish.id. So new year wish.id, and this will give me new -year-wish, because this is the ID which is defined on our p tag, which we are accessing using the which we are selecting the element based on the ID. Okay, so this is the ID that is sitting on our element. And also same for the CSS classes, using the class name property to get the CSS classes on the element as text here. So what I will do is I will say new year wish dot class name, and here we will get an empty string because no class name has been defined on our p tag. It is uniquely defined only by the ID of the element. So this is how we can read data in there, which of course we do a lot in JavaScript applications. Sometimes we just want to find the current state of the element with CSS classes the element has. So for that we can make use of the class name property. Not all the properties of an element are writable, but we can assign a new class to the element, and this will get reflected back in the DOM that the browser rendered, and of course will get updated on the UI on the fly by the browser. So let me create an unordered list Okay, so yeah, we had already created that. Okay, so let me work with that. So we'll go back to the console and we will reach out to the DOM to query for the heading with an ID of new hyphen year, and then let us store that in a constant again. So I will say const heading 1 document dot get element by ID, and I will say new hyphen year. So this will help us. So we are storing the DOM object that is returned by the get element by ID selector in the heading 1. So the DOM object is being referenced using the heading 1 constant. Okay, so if I try to access the text content, now we want to access the text content that is there within the heading 1. Okay, so I will say heading 1 dot text content, and this will spit out new year 2020 has started. Now if I try to access the class name on the heading 1 DOM element, which basically has a reference to our DOM object, so I will say heading 1 dot class name, and this will spit out an empty string because we haven't defined any class on the heading 1. So this is currently empty string because of course we do not have a class defined on it yet. Now let us suppose you want to change the text content, so let us try that as well. What I will do is I will say heading 1 dot text content, and I will set that to changed. So you can see on the fly dynamically this changed to the title of changed. Okay, so this changes the heading 1 on the fly, and under the hood what it does is it removes the old text node that we had and instead created a new text node and removed the old one with it. Or basically you can say it replaced the old one with the new one. So we can also assign a class to our heading 1, which we currently are not having. So what I will do is I will say heading 1 dot class name new hyphen year hyphen 2020, and now our heading 1 has a class. So if I try to access the property by saying heading 1 dot class name, so you can see that the heading 1 is now having a class defined on it, which is new year 2020. Now if I now go to the elements tab, we can verify this as well. Okay, so you can see we now have a class of new year 2020. We already changed the title to changed. Now what it is doing here is that the new class is sitting on a heading, as you can see. Now let us assign some CSS style to the element. Move back to the console. Now what we will do is we are translating the CSS style to JavaScript properties. So what I will do is I will say I will change the color of our heading using heading 1 dot style dot color set to red. Press enter. So now you can see the color of the heading 1 change from black to red. So now if I try to change the background color of this h1 tag, basically the heading that we are having, so for that I can write heading 1 dot style dot background. So this should work or not. If I write background hyphen color, this will not work because JavaScript engine thinks of it as a operation that you're trying to do is a subtraction operation, and for that you are not having numerical values on which you can perform this operation. So this is not valid here. You must not have dashes in there, otherwise the JavaScript engine will think that you are trying to perform subtraction, which is not the case here, as you can see. So what I will do is I will remove the dash and I will use the camel case, and then I will set the background color to say pink. Okay, press enter, and now you can see on the fly the background of the heading change from white to pink. So also if you want to learn more about the properties, I would highly recommend you to check out the MDN docs for learning what properties you can use on elements. So this was all about this video. If you are loving the content, do share the channel with your friends and colleagues, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot, guys.